The great hall of the Galactic Council was silent. 1,000 alien eyes were fixed on the human standing alone in the center. Around him, the air shimmered with heat from energy lamps that gave the chamber its eerie golden light. The walls were lined with crystal panels that showed the stars outside, thousands of light years away. This place was where the galaxy passed judgment, and now, it was Earth's turn to be judged. Ambassador Elias Rourke stood tall in his dark suit, hands folded behind his back. He looked calm, even while surrounded by the most powerful beings in known space. Before him stood the High Speaker of the Council, a tall creature made of light and shifting energy. Its voice echoed like thunder in a storm. "Humanity," it said. "You stand accused of crimes against the galactic order. You have expanded without permission. You have interfered with other civilizations. You have built weapons that violate the Council's peace treaty. You have broken every rule that holds our galaxy together." Rourke did not speak. He only watched, his blue eyes calm and steady. The chamber was filled with alien voices whispering in dozens of languages. Some looked angry, others curious. The Council had debated Earth for months, but now it was time for the final decision. The High Speaker raised its staff and the room dimmed. "By the vote of the Council," it said, "Earth is declared an enemy of galactic peace. War is hereby declared on the Human Federation." The words echoed across the galaxy. Every news system, every fleet command, every colony received the signal. The great powers of the galaxy had declared war on one small blue planet. For a moment, silence ruled the hall. Everyone waited to see how the human would react. Most expected fear or perhaps a plea for mercy. Instead, Rourke slowly smiled. It was not a smile of madness or despair. It was the calm grin of a man who had been waiting for this moment. He looked up at the Council and said, "It's finally time." The hall broke into a wave of confusion. Alien delegates turned to each other, speaking in alarm. Some demanded the guards arrest him. Others wanted to know what he meant. But Rourke didn't answer. He tapped the small device on his wrist and a blue hologram appeared in front of him. It showed the planet Earth, glowing like a small star. The hologram pulsed once, then vanished. A signal had been sent. The High Speaker's voice boomed. "What have you done, human?" Rourke's voice was calm. "Just informing my people that the waiting is over." Back on Earth, in a dark control room buried under the Rocky Mountains, a red light began to blink. Generals and scientists stood in silence. Then one of them whispered, "Protocol Dawnfire has been activated." Across the solar system, dormant satellites came to life. Deep under the surface of the moon, metal structures began to move. Near Jupiter, old stations hidden behind magnetic storms powered up for the first time in decades. Earth had been preparing for this war long before the Council's decision. In the Council chamber, guards surrounded Rourke, but he didn't resist. "You think you can stand against the entire galaxy?" one alien hissed. Rourke looked at it and said softly, "We don't need to stand against it. We only need to survive it." The guards led him away, but many delegates could not stop thinking about his grin. Something about it felt wrong, too confident, too sure. As Rourke disappeared through the shining doors, the High Speaker turned to the Council and said, "Begin mobilization. Their world will burn." Far away, aboard an alien carrier fleet preparing near the edge of Sol system, Admiral Tarek of the Velan Empire received the Council's order. His fleet was made of thousands of ships, enough to destroy a planet. He smiled proudly. "The humans will fall within days," he said. Primitive species always think they are ready. But as his ships moved forward, sensors began to fail. Communications flickered. Something invisible surrounded them. His second officer shouted, "Sir, we are losing tracking. Something's jamming us." Tarek frowned. "Impossible. No known species has this technology." Then through the darkness of space, hundreds of tiny objects appeared, small, fast, metallic, drones. They moved like a storm of steel, cutting through his formation before his ships could even fire. Alarms screamed. Ships vanished from the radar one after another. The Admiral could hardly believe what he was seeing. On Earth, Commander Amira Holt watched the battle reports on her screen. She was calm, her voice sharp and steady. "Good," she said. "Phase 1 complete. Let's see how far the Council is willing to go." Rourke's signal had awakened the plan that humans had built in secret for decades. It was not just about weapons. It was about strategy. Humans had studied every alien technology they could find, copied it, improved it, and hidden it. They had learned how to fight without being seen. The galaxy thought Earth was still new to space, but that was the trick. Humanity had been learning quietly in the shadows. Back in the Council's command room, chaos spread. Reports came from different sectors. Fleets missing, communication lines down, strange energy bursts detected near Sol. The Council demanded answers, but none came. Finally, the High Speaker ordered an emergency session. "What are these humans?" one alien shouted. "How can a single world resist us?" Another answered, "They are not resisting, they are hunting us." Even the High Speaker seemed uncertain. They should not have this power. "No species develop so fast," one voice spoke from the shadows. It was Senator Kalo, a reptilian diplomat from the Luthen colonies. "Perhaps they were never what we thought they were," he said quietly. "Perhaps the humans have been watching us longer than we've watched them." No one replied. The idea was too dangerous. Meanwhile, on a small escape ship hidden within the outer rings of the Council station, Rourke sat alone. He watched the stars outside and smiled again. The ship's pilot, a quiet machine with glowing blue eyes, asked him, "Do you think they will come for you?" "Of course," Rourke said. "They have to. But by then it will be too late." The ship vanished into the black of space, heading toward a secret jump point known only to humans. Hours later, the Council received a final message from Earth. It was short, just one line. "Do not mistake our silence for weakness." The signal ended, and every listening station in the galaxy heard it. Some laughed. Others were afraid. But one thing was certain. The war that had just begun would not be like any war before. In the cold halls of the Council chamber, the High Speaker looked at the hologram of Earth. "They believe they can win," it said. Senator Kalo shook his head. "No, they believe they can change everything." The High Speaker's light flickered with anger. "Then we will show them their place." But even as the Council prepared for total war, deep in the dark between stars, something else moved. It was old, older than any of the Council races, and it had just noticed that humanity had awakened. Ambassador Rourke sat quietly in his ship watching the stars ahead. He knew what was coming. The Council thought it had declared war on Earth. In truth, it had declared war on something far larger, the human spirit that refused to bow. He smiled one last time and whispered, "It's finally time." The stars above Sol system burned bright, but they were not peaceful anymore. Alien fleets filled the edges of human space, their massive ships spreading out like shadows across the void. The Galactic Council had united its armies for the first time in thousands of years, all aimed at one target, Earth, but the humans were ready. In orbit around the moon, Commander Amira Holt stood inside the control dome of the Lunar Defense Station. The glass around her showed thousands of tiny blue dots, each one a drone, fighter, or satellite waiting for orders. She was calm, her eyes steady as she watched the incoming alien fleets through the radar display. Her officers whispered updates, voices tense with both fear and excitement. "They're entering the inner system," one said. "Valon and Theron fleets in front, followed by the Council's flagship." Amira nodded. "Good, let them come." No one expected this war to be easy, but no one on Earth intended to surrender. Humanity had always been underestimated by the galaxy. They were seen as newcomers still learning spaceflight. The Council never imagined that behind Earth's blue skies humans had been building, hiding, and preparing. In the depths of the solar system near Jupiter's storms, dark shapes began to move. The old stations once thought abandoned flickered to life. Hidden engines rumbled. Massive stealth cruisers covered in light-bending armor emerged from behind the gas giant. Each ship bore the mark of the Terran Defense Fleet. The alien fleets moved closer, their commanders confident. Admiral Tarek of the Valen Empire stood on his bridge, proud and certain of victory. His ships outnumbered anything Earth could have. "Begin the advance," he ordered. "We strike the moon first. Once their defenses fall, the planet will follow." His crew obeyed. Thousands of alien ships glided forward in formation. Then something strange happened. All at once, their sensors went dark. Radar, communications, navigation, all jammed. The fleet's systems flickered, showing false readings. Planets appeared in the wrong places. Their coordinates twisted. Tarek frowned. "What's happening?" An officer shouted, "We're being jammed." Source unknown. Before they could respond, invisible weapons fired from the shadows. Long beams of light cut across space, slicing through alien hulls before anyone could see where they came from. Missiles launched from unseen positions. Drones appeared, moving like insects through the blackness, small but deadly. Tarek's flagship shook. "They have stealth technology. How?" No one answered. In the control dome on the moon, Commander Holt watched the battle unfold. "Phase 2, she said calmly. "Release the curtain." Her officers obeyed. Across the solar system, hidden emitters activated. They linked together, forming an enormous web that used the sun's magnetic field as its power source. A glowing ripple spread across space, bending light, blocking enemy sensors. The entire system seemed to vanish. To the alien fleets, the humans were gone. Earth had disappeared behind a storm of solar energy. "Where are they?" Tarek shouted. "Find them!" But the humans were already attacking. Small human ships appeared out of nowhere, striking with precision, targeting engines, power cores, and communication relays. They didn't destroy entire fleets, they crippled them, leaving the survivors lost and confused. On Earth, crowds gathered around giant screens, watching the live feeds. They couldn't see the battle clearly, but they heard the reports. For the first time in history, humanity was fighting the galaxy and winning. In the Galactic Council chamber, panic spread. The High Speaker demanded answers. "Our fleets are blind. Our commanders are not responding." A young alien aide trembled. "Reports say the humans have created a defensive network that bends light itself. We cannot see their ships." The High Speaker slammed its staff against the floor. "Impossible. They are a primitive species." Senator Kalo spoke softly from the corner. "They were primitive once. Not anymore." Meanwhile, far from the council, Ambassador Elias Rourke was on the run. His small escape ship drifted through the shadows of deep space. He had escaped from the council chamber hours ago, using a stolen diplomatic pass. He sat in the co-pilot's seat watching the stars pass by. Beside him, a small hologram of Commander Holt appeared. "The council fleets have entered, Sol. Phase 2 is complete." "The curtain is holding," Rourke nodded. "Good work. Make sure the colonies stay dark. No transmissions. We can't let them find our outer bases yet." "Yes, sir," Holt replied. "The galaxy's watching us now. Let's give them something to remember." The hologram faded. Rourke leaned back, thinking about how it all began. For years, the Council had restricted Earth's growth. They allowed humans to travel, but forbade them from building warships or advanced stations. They said it was for peace, but Rourke knew it was fear. The aliens feared what humans might become. So Earth had learned to hide. They built their weapons in secret, under the surface of the Moon and Mars. They created the solar curtain, a weapon no one believed possible. They waited until the Council declared war, then turned their weakness into strength. As his ship glided toward a hidden jump gate, Rourke smiled. "They think they're fighting soldiers," he said quietly. "But they're fighting survivors." Back near Jupiter, the battle continued. Alien ships fired blindly into the void, hitting nothing but light and debris. Human ships moved like ghosts, silent and fast. Their AI-controlled systems predicted enemy moves seconds before they happened. Each attack was clean, precise, almost mathematical. When the first alien fleet finally broke formation, Holt saw her chance. "Target their carriers," she ordered. Missiles streaked through the void, guided by AI and instinct. One by one, the enemy carriers exploded, scattering burning fragments into the dark. For the first time, the aliens began to retreat. On board his damaged flagship, Admiral Tarek looked out at the ruins of his fleet. He had never seen anything like this. His pride was gone, replaced by disbelief. How can a single world do this?" he whispered. No one answered. Rourke's voice came through the ship's communication system, calm and steady. "You thought we were weak. You were wrong." Tarek froze. How are you on this channel?" "I'm everywhere you're listening," Rourke said. "Tell your council this, the humans didn't start this war. But we will finish it." The signal cut. The council fleets retreated beyond Mars, their commanders shaken. None of them had ever faced an enemy that fought like this. Smart, unpredictable, merciless but controlled. The council's power was not enough. In the council chamber, the High Speaker stared at the reports with disbelief. Their defenses should not exist. No species can develop this fast. They have broken the laws of science. Senator Kalo spoke again. Perhaps their laws are not ours. The High Speaker glared. "You defend them?" "I respect them," Kalo replied. They planned for this war before we ever declared it. You should ask yourself why. The council fell silent. Back on Earth, the lights of the cities glowed through the night. People celebrated in the streets not because the war was over, but because they had survived the first strike. For once, humanity was not running. They were standing tall. In her command center, Commander Holt watched the stars through the glass window. "They'll be back," she said softly. "Stronger next time." Rourke's voice came through the communicator. "Good. We'll be ready." He stood on his small ship looking toward the blue light of Earth in the distance. The Council had sent its judgment, but Earth had answered with something far greater than fear. It had answered with intelligence, unity, and quiet power. The war had only just begun, but already the galaxy was starting to understand something important. Humans were not a mistake of evolution. They were the storm no one saw coming. Rourke smiled again, his voice calm and sure. "It's finally time." The galaxy was in chaos. News of the failed invasion of Sol spread faster than light. The great fleets of the Council had been beaten by a single world. It was something that had never happened before. Across the stars, species who once believed humans were small and harmless now whispered their name with fear and curiosity. In the council chamber, the High Speaker's light flickered with anger. "How could this happen?" it demanded, its glowing form shaking. "We sent the best fleets, the most advanced ships. How could a primitive world destroy them?" No one spoke. The silence was heavy. Then Senator Kalo stepped forward. His scales glistened under the chamber lights. "Perhaps, High Speaker, the humans were never as primitive as we believed." The High Speaker turned sharply toward him. "Do you suggest that they have deceived the entire council?" Kalo nodded slowly. "Yes, and they did it well." Meanwhile, far from the council's reach, Ambassador Elias Rourke's small ship drifted through a corridor of stars. He sat with his co-pilot, a quiet android named Sigma, who spoke with a voice calm and steady. "We are approaching the Lethus sector," Sigma said. "The council patrols here are minimal." "Good," Rourke replied. "We have someone to meet." A few minutes later, they entered orbit around a small desert moon. The surface glowed faintly with strange lights. Hidden under its sands was a secret human outpost. When they landed, the doors opened to reveal a group of scientists and soldiers waiting. At their center stood Dr. Leon Vega, one of Earth's top researchers in alien history. She smiled when she saw Rourke. "You finally made it," she said. "I was beginning to think the council caught you." "They tried," he said, shaking her hand. "But I don't get caught that easily. What have you found?" Dr. Vega led him through the base's narrow tunnels until they reached a large chamber. In the center of the room was something ancient, a black structure covered in symbols that shimmered like water. "We found it under the Antarctic ice years ago," Vega explained. "But it's not from Earth, it's older." "Much older." Rourke stared at it. The symbols seemed alive, moving when he looked directly at them. "You think it's connected to the council?" "Not just connected," Vega said. "It predates the council by millions of years. I believe this is part of the technology that built the first civilizations. The council calls them myths, but they were real." Rourke frowned. "And you think they're watching?" "I think they never stopped," Vega said. She activated a console and the structure lit up. A holographic map of the galaxy appeared, filled with strange markings. "When the council declared war," she continued, "this artifact started sending signals. Not toward us, but toward the outer rim. Someone out there is listening." Rourke studied the glowing stars on the hologram. "The council will never believe this." "They don't have to," Vega said. "They're too busy losing fleets," Rourke smiled slightly. "Then we keep this secret. If this technology is as powerful as you think, it could change everything." While they talked, the galaxy around them burned. In distant systems, human strike groups attacked council supply lines, disabling shipyards and cutting off fuel routes. They did not destroy planets. They targeted only what was necessary. Humanity fought with precision, not rage. Every move had a purpose. In her command room on the moon, Commander Amira Holt watched a report flash on her screen. "Council fleets retreating in Sector 12, an officer said. "Good," Holt replied. "Pull our teams back. We've done enough damage for one day." Her second-in-command frowned. "Why not press the attack? We could take their outer colonies." Holt shook her head. "We're not conquerors. We're proving a point. Let them wonder how we did it. Fear is better than destruction." On the desert moon, Rourke and Vega continued their work. The artifact pulsed with light. Every few hours, it emitted a strange sound like a whisper across the stars. Vega grew more excited with each signal. "It's trying to tell us something," she said. "I can almost translate it." Rourke watched as the holographic map shifted. The stars rearranged into new patterns, forming symbols that looked like words. Vega's eyes widened. "It says, 'They will return when the stars burn again.'" Rourke repeated the words quietly. "They will return. Who?" Vega shook her head. "I don't know. But whatever built this thing, it's waiting for something to happen." Rourke sighed. "Let's hope it's on our side." Back in the council chamber, the high speaker received the first reports of the artifact's signal. A small probe had detected it from the outer rim. "Unregistered energy readings," one aide reported. "It matches no known technology." The high speaker's light flickered uneasily. "Find its source." Senator Kalo, listening nearby, hid his concern. He knew the council feared what it did not understand. If they learned that humans had the relic, they would destroy everything to get it. Later, in a private room, Kalo activated a secure channel. "Ambassador Rourke," he said quietly, "you don't know me, but I know what you've done. You've made enemies everywhere. But there are some of us who admire your courage." Rourke's voice came through the speaker. "I'm listening." "The council won't stop until you're gone," Kalo said. "But there are those within it who are beginning to doubt. If you can prove the truth about what's happening at the edge of the galaxy, you might change everything." Rourke was silent for a moment. "Then help us, Senator. Help us show them." Kalo hesitated. "Be careful, human. The council's fear is dangerous. If they find out what you're hiding, they won't just kill you. They'll erase your world." The connection ended. Rourke turned to Vega. "We need to move this artifact before they find it. Get it ready for transport to Mars." Vega nodded. "Understood." As they prepared the move, the artifact pulsed again, brighter than before. The lights in the base flickered. The air filled with a low hum. Vega looked at the readings. "It's sending another signal," she whispered. "But this one's different." "It's not going out, it's coming in." Rourke froze. "Coming in from where?" Before she could answer, the hologram shifted again. This time, instead of words, it showed shapes. Giant ships, unfamiliar and ancient, moving slowly through the dark toward the center of the galaxy. Vega stared, her voice trembling. "They're already on their way." Rourke said nothing. He simply looked up at the stars through the base's narrow window. Humanity had fought off the Council's war, but something far older was now awake. On Earth, Commander Holt received a strange transmission from one of their outer sensors. She frowned. "That can't be right," she muttered. "It's coming from beyond the rim." Her aide looked up. "Another fleet?" "Not the Council," she said quietly. "Something else." Rourke's voice came through her communicator. "Hold your ground, Commander. Whatever happens next, we face it together." Holt nodded. "Understood." In the silence of space, the stars seemed to flicker. Something ancient had begun to stir. Something that had slept since before the Council existed. Humanity had not only survived the war, they had awakened something that the galaxy had forgotten. Rourke looked at the black artifact one last time before his ship lifted off from the desert moon. "They wanted war," he said softly. "Now they'll get something much bigger." Sigma turned its head toward him. "Do you think we can win?" Rourke smiled faintly. "Winning isn't the point anymore. It's about what we become when the whole galaxy stands against us." As the ship rose into the stars, the artifact's light faded, but the message remained in Rourke's mind. They will return when the stars burn again. He didn't know who they were, but one thing was certain. The galaxy would soon find out, and when it did, humanity would be ready. Rourke leaned back in his chair, eyes fixed on the distant stars. "It's finally time," he whispered again, and this time even the stars seemed to listen. The massive chamber of the Galactic Council trembled as the final vote echoed through the hall. Billions of light years away, stars flickered on the holographic walls as alien delegates spoke in hushed tones. The air was tense, charged with something ancient, fear. At the center of it all stood a single man, Earth's diplomat, Marcus Hale. His calm expression and faint grin sent a chill through the gathered species. The council speaker, a tall crystalline being named Vorolan, looked down from his dais. "By the will of the council, the Human Confederation is hereby declared an enemy of galactic peace. Effective immediately, all trade routes are closed. All member worlds are authorized to engage. War has been proclaimed. A murmur swept through the chamber. Some species roared in triumph. Others whispered nervously. Humans had been unpredictable for decades, too quick to advance, too clever to control. The council had finally chosen to put them in their place. But Marcus only smiled wider. "So this is it," he said softly. His voice, though calm, carried across the hall. "You've chosen war. Then you'll finally understand what Earth has been preparing for." Forolan's gem-like eyes narrowed. "You threaten the council? You stand before 1,000 civilizations united against you." Marcus didn't flinch. "No," he said. "I'm warning you." The guards closed in, but before they could move, the chamber lights flickered. For a moment, the holographic map of the galaxy shimmered, and 100 red markers appeared across its surface. They represented something none of them had ever seen before. "Those are," a delegate from the Thraxian Dominion whispered. "Human ships?" Marcus clasped his hands behind his back. "Not ships. Defense stations. We built them quietly over the last 30 years. You called them debris. You thought we were harmless. You were wrong." The council erupted into chaos. Dozens of diplomats shouted accusations, threats, and disbelief. But Marcus stood still, letting the storm rage around him. When it quieted, he said, "We asked for peace. You gave us sanctions. We offered cooperation. You gave us spies. You sent fleets near our colonies. And now you declare war." He stepped forward, meeting the council's glare with steady eyes. "Then war is what you'll get." He turned and walked away as the council guards froze, unsure if they should move. By the time they reacted, Marcus was gone, disappeared into a shimmer of blue light as a human transport beam whisked him away. Back on Earth, night cloaked the planet. The skies above were full of satellites, blinking red and blue like distant stars. In an underground command center beneath Geneva, the Global Defense Council waited. Generals, scientists, and engineers stood as Marcus appeared on the holographic pad. "They've made their decision," he said. The room was silent for a heartbeat. Then General Reyes leaned forward. "And ours?" Marcus's grin returned. "The same as always. Survive." The walls lit up with tactical maps of the Milky Way. Human-controlled sectors glowed in white, surrounded by thousands of Red Council fleets. Yet for every enemy movement, Earth already had a counter. They'd been planning this for years. Commander Yuna spoke next. "We've confirmed our outer defense rings are active. The AI network is synced. Quantum relay shields are stable." Marcus nodded. "Good, begin Phase 1. The command center hummed to life. Across human space, dormant stations awoke. Automated turrets deployed. Fleets hidden behind asteroid belts activated engines. On Mars, massive gates opened to reveal ships larger than anything the Council had seen. Ships built in silence, beyond scanners, hidden behind false signatures. Every nation, once divided, now stood as one. Humanity had been underestimated for too long. Meanwhile, far away, the Council fleets began to mobilize. Thousands of warships from dozens of species assembled near the neutral border. Their commanders believed it would be easy. A swift strike, overwhelming force, the end of Earth's defiance. But when their scanners picked up the first human signal, confusion spread. The humans didn't run. They didn't hide. They advanced. A small fleet of human warships appeared near the Varan cluster, a mere 20 against 200. The alien commander laughed. "Foolish humans," he said. "They send us a handful of ships to die." But when the battle began, the laughter died. Human ships didn't use standard tactics. They moved unpredictably, cutting through the void with impossible precision. Their weapons were strange. Silent bursts of light that ignored shields, invisible drones that disabled engines, EMP waves that turned whole fleets into drifting wrecks. Within minutes, the Council's first assault force was gone. Back in the Council chamber, chaos reigned. Reports came in from every front. Losses, confusion, retreat. The Council couldn't understand. How had the humans developed such power? How could they fight so effectively against the entire galaxy? Vorolan slammed his crystalline hand on the table. Impossible. They were primitive, barely beyond their home system. A quiet voice from the side interrupted him. It belonged to an old diplomat from the Valari species. "Perhaps that's what they wanted you to believe," he said. "Perhaps they've been preparing all along." On Earth, Marcus stood on the observation deck of the orbital command ship Resolute Dawn. The Earth hung below, blue and calm, as war spread across the stars. He could see the first Council armada approaching in the distance, massive, endless, terrifying, but he didn't look afraid. He looked ready. A young officer turned to him. "Sir, they're approaching our borders." Marcus nodded. "Then we show them who we are." He pressed a command. Across the solar system, hundreds of defense satellites powered up. The void shimmered as human stealth tech became visible, massive rings of metal and plasma forming a barrier around Earth. From the moon's surface, a giant railgun unfolded. Its barrel glowed with white light as it charged. The young officer swallowed. "The Council will call this madness." Marcus smiled faintly. "They already did. Now they'll call it history." The first enemy fleet entered the defense perimeter. For a moment, space was silent. Then the railgun fired. A beam of pure energy tore through the darkness, slicing through a dozen ships in one strike. The explosion lit the void brighter than the sun. The shockwave rippled through the alien formations, scattering them like leaves in a storm. For the first time in recorded history, the Galactic Council realized the truth. The humans weren't the underdogs. They were the storm that had been waiting to rise. And as Marcus watched the chaos unfold, his grin returned, calm, sharp, and cold. "It's finally time," he whispered. The war for the galaxy had begun. The great void between stars burned with fire. Every corner of the galaxy now echoed with the clash of war. The once proud fleets of the Galactic Council were scattered across the stars, their formations broken by a species they had once called young. The humans had not only survived, they were winning. From the flagship Resolute Dawn, Marcus Hale stood before a wide holographic display showing the front lines. He looked calm, almost distant, as if he had expected all this to happen. Behind him, Commander Yuna and General Reyes studied the shifting battle markers with awe and fear. "The Third Council fleet has retreated from Titan Sector," Yuna reported. "They're abandoning supply lines. Their command ships are in chaos." Reyes grinned. "They underestimated us for too long. Now they're learning." Marcus said nothing for a moment. His eyes remained on the glowing map. "No," he said finally. "They're not learning yet. They're just panicking. When they finally start thinking, that's when the real test will begin." Outside the window, the stars glowed with the fire of wrecked ships. Massive debris fields floated silently, the remains of 1,000 alien warships. Human drones moved among them, salvaging materials, repairing vessels, adapting enemy technology. Every hour made Earth stronger. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, the Galactic Council itself was crumbling. Delegates shouted at each other in the Grand Chamber. Blame filled the air like smoke. The once united alliance was now divided by fear. Vorolan, the council speaker, slammed his hand down on the glowing table. "You fools. You let them corner our fleets. You said their technology was limited, that they could not resist. They use weapons we've never seen before," shouted a commander from the Hrax Dominion. "They can turn our own systems against us. How can we fight that?" Another delegate added. "They hide entire fleets behind asteroids, moons, and dark matter clouds. We scan and they vanish. When we strike, they appear behind us." The room descended into chaos again. Vorolan stared at the central hologram, an image of Earth. The blue planet glowed faintly in the darkness, surrounded by its defense grid. He could almost feel its pull, that strange human confidence that had haunted every meeting. "They said they wanted peace," he muttered, "and now they bring war to all our worlds." Back on Resolute Dawn, Marcus watched the live feed from deep space. The first human expeditionary fleets had crossed into enemy territory. Colonies once ruled by the Council were falling one by one, not from destruction, but from surrender. Civilians welcomed human ships asking for aid instead of fearing invasion. Humanity didn't conquer with fear. They offered something new: fairness, stability, choice. General Reyes smiled. "They're calling it the Human Accord. Whole systems are joining voluntarily." Marcus nodded. "Good. But remember, if we win too fast, the Council will do something desperate." And he was right. In the deep void near the edge of the galactic core, the Council was preparing a final weapon. It was called the Judgment Star, an ancient structure built by the oldest civilizations capable of burning entire star systems. It hadn't been used for 1,000,000 years. But desperation changes everything. When human sensors detected the energy surge, panic spread across command centers. They're activating something massive, Una said. The readings are off the scale. Marcus turned to her. Find out where it's pointed. Seconds later, the answer came. Earth. The room went silent. Even the hum of the ship's systems seemed to fade. For the first time, the image of home appeared not as a beacon, but as a target. Marcus's voice stayed calm. Then we move first. Bring the fleet together. Every ship we have. Within hours, humanity's armada formed thousands of ships, great and small, circling around the resolute Dawn. Drones, carriers, fighters, and frigates, every vessel armed, every pilot ready. The Council fleet, protecting the Judgment Star, waited on the other side of the void. It was the largest assembly of alien power in history. Hundreds of species stood side by side, determined to end humanity once and for all. As the fleets faced each other, silence filled the stars. Then Marcus appeared on the main channel, his image broadcast across both forces. This war was your choice, he said, his voice steady and cold. We came to join your council. You came to destroy us. You thought we were weak. You thought we were alone. But now you know, Earth stands for something greater. We fight not for power, but for freedom. You call it rebellion. We call it survival. His words carried across every channel, reaching even the alien soldiers preparing their weapons. Then he gave the order. All units, advance. The stars erupted in light. Lasers, plasma bolts, and missiles filled the void. Human ships danced through enemy fire, their AI-assisted systems predicting every move. Invisible drones slipped through defenses, disabling key reactors. Railguns from Mars-based platforms fired long-range shots that shattered entire formations. Still, the Council's fleet was enormous. Their ancient weapon began to glow, drawing energy from a nearby sun. The Judgment Star was almost ready to fire. Sir, the weapon's charging, Una shouted. We can't reach it in time. Marcus narrowed his eyes. Yes, we can. He turned to his engineer. Activate the Daedalus protocol. The engineer hesitated. That's never been tested. We don't know if... Do it. A massive surge of light spread from Earth's position. Hidden far beyond the visible range, humanity's secret project came online. A network of artificial wormholes linked through quantum space. In one moment, human fleets near the outer colonies vanished. In the next, they reappeared, right behind the Judgment Star. The alien admirals screamed in disbelief. They teleported an entire fleet? That's impossible. But the impossible was exactly what humanity had always done. The hidden fleet unleashed everything it had. Missiles pierced the weapon's core, tearing through its ancient shell. The Judgment Star began to collapse, energy spilling out like a dying sun. Marcus watched the explosion from the bridge. The light reflected in his eyes as the shockwave rippled across space. Status? He asked quietly. The weapon is gone, Una said. The Council's fleets are breaking apart. They're retreating. Reyes leaned back, exhaling slowly. It's over, but Marcus didn't smile this time. He looked out at the burning horizon, where the remains of 1,000 ships floated like ghosts. No, he said softly. It's never over. But it's finally our turn to lead. Days later, the Galactic Council called for a ceasefire. The chamber that had once condemned humanity now waited for their arrival. When Marcus stepped inside again, the silence was heavy. Vorolan rose slowly. His voice was bitter but tired. You have won, human. The galaxy will remember this day. Marcus looked around the room at the faces of those who once mocked him. We didn't fight to be remembered, he said. We fought so no one would ever threaten us again. He paused, then added quietly, but remember this. Earth offered peace once. We can offer it again. For a long time, no one spoke. Then, one by one, the alien representatives bowed their heads. The war was over. Marcus turned and walked out, the same faint grin returning to his face as the doors closed behind him. Outside, the stars shone brighter than ever, free of council control. Humanity had stepped out of the shadows of the galaxy, and the universe would never be the same again. He looked toward the distant blue glow of Earth, his voice barely a whisper. It's finally time.